Hey there! Welcome to the Distracted Librarians podcast. We're your friendly neighborhood bookworms with a penchant for all things pop culture.
Picture this as our digital campfire, where we dive into our latest obsessions, analyze our favorite distractions, and rediscover the joy of reading.
Whether you're a media enthusiast, a book lover, or just need a break from the daily grind, you've come to the right spot.
So kick back, relax, and get delightfully distracted with us.
Hey everybody! On this episode of Distracted Librarians, we're going to talk about Disney villains.
Hey.
I know, right? I'm Nicole.
I'm Killian.
And I'm Drew.
All right, Disney villains. This is quite the topic. I feel like this one's going to get a little crazy.
We're all sitting here just kind of like grinning. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Disney villains are the points of the movie.
Yes, of course. I mean, clearly.
Like, the hero characters are so boring compared to these, like, big and bold and often queer-coded and just the way more dynamic characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like I relate more to the villains than I relate to the good guys. Mm-hmm. Or at least I wanted to be more like the villain for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
There was, like... Oh, they always had some kind of, I don't know, some traits that I was looking for in my young self that I was like, ooh, could I actually be that charismatic? Could I be that evil or cruel or whatever? You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, I think we need to get down to it. Who are some of our favorite villains?
I look right at the whole, like, Renaissance era. So, Ursula, Scar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are just like hands down, all of them are your favorite from that era?
Not every single one.
Okay.
You know, I struggled to relate to Gaston. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to, like, throw my support behind... What's the guy's name from Pocahontas? Governor Ratcliffe or something?
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Not for me. Mm-hmm. You know, Judge Frollo is on my list of scary ones.
Okay.
but that era of, like, Ursula, Jafar, Scar, Hades, that stretch.
I was waiting for Hades to come up because I was like, it's going to happen, but is it going to be Drew or is it going to be me?
Uh-huh. Awesome. All right, so is that your favorite?
I love Hades. Look, we've talked about Hercules before. I love that movie in a really weird way. I don't know. I really love that movie. Hades stands out. I really like Mother Gothel. I always loved Ursula. Little Mermaid as a movie in general was a big one for me. And so Ursula is truly wonderful. Mm-hmm. Scar was truly terrifying to me. And then also you brought up Frollo, and I have to agree on that one.
What's Frollo from?
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, okay. Which
the religious guy?
I think I've only watched that movie once or twice. I'm going to have to take a deep dive into that. Ooh, should I scar my children and we watch Hunchback?
Terrifying.
I've heard, like, apparently the internet cannot stand him.
Yeah.
So, like, he is, like, a number one as an awful... horrible villain.
His villain song is called Hellfire.
Oh.
And it is one of the best villain songs out there.
It is basically his journey in the movie is that he is attracted to Esmeralda, who is a gypsy. Mm-hmm. And that is or Romani. And he is so burdened by this that he makes it her fault.
Okay.
That she is the temptress that has guided him away from the path of the light.
The witch that turned him away from whatever.
And therefore her only two options are to be with him forever or die.
Okay. That sounds healthy.
Yeah.
Perfectly healthy. All right. Well, he sounds horrible. Mine are old school.
Okay.
I really like Shere Khan.
Yes.
The Jungle Book movie is kind of like a comfort to me as an older person that, like, I had watched it when I was a kid, but then watching it with my children as an adult made me love that movie even more than I did before. So the music is great. Shere Khan is pretty great. I like him a lot. The voice, I mean, my God. Okay. And then Madam Mim. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Sword of the Stone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sword in Stone. Okay.
Sword in the Stone. Again, movie I loved when I was a child. Love even more as an adult with children. Madam Mim makes me so happy because she is like bubbly and insane. And I want to be that a little bit. I mean, I also love Merlin, and I think that their wizards duel is like so entertaining and wonderful. I mean, she turns herself into a cat, and he's a mouse, and she tries to eat him. It's fantastic.
I need to see that movie again. It's been entirely too long.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have seen it and simply forgotten it, or if I've actually never seen it.
Oh, geez. Okay, well,
in this moment,
both of those things need to be fixed because it's really, it's like wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's in the kooky era of Disney where like none of the movies make sense. It's right next to Black Cauldron.
Yeah, and Bedknobs and Broomsticks and kind of all of those fanciful, goofy, weird Disney movies. Yeah, I like that era of Disney.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. Okay, what makes Disney villains stand the test of time? What do you guys think?
I just think they're iconic characters. So many of the stories aren't based around the hero. They're based around the villain they're defeating.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're also visually very unique, whereas a lot of like your Disney princesses, they have unique features, but they look very similar, especially that Renaissance era.
Oh, yeah.
They have the same face.
Yes.
In just different fonts.
Yeah,
and in the 50s, they had the same dress.
Yes. Whereas the villains all have these just extravagant, beautiful designs that are just more fun to look at, more fun to watch.
Appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Style. It's like they have the villainous style.
Oh, yeah. I always think back to Glenn Close's 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil specifically, as an example of that, where she just carries herself so differently from anyone else in that movie.
Yeah.
And Cruella in the animated version is exactly the same. She just has a completely different air around her.
She's like slinking around.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool. All right. Vote. Oh my gosh, I can talk.
You got this.
Villain motives. All right. So why are they the way they are? I mean, some of the times we don't know what their backstory is, and we're going to talk about backstories a little bit later. But like, what is their point behind their evilness?
I think that's one of those things that is very era specific because you have the era of those like trick villains. You get that in Frozen, like the more recent ones where there is a villain, but they're not just obviously the villain from the get-go. And so you might get a little bit more of their motive. Like with Hans, overshadowed by brothers.
Yep.
Okay, well, and you get that same kind of motive like with Scar. Scar wants the power and the control. But I think Scar is the much more interesting of those two villains.
Yeah. Well, he's so insecure and he's so jealous. And there's all this like repressed rage in terms of like how he feels about his brother. I don't even know if it's really all about the power. It's more like, you're beautiful, I'm not. And like, I don't know. There's a lot to kind of pull apart in that relationship between those two characters.
I also think the villains are funniest, not necessarily funny, haha, but are most interesting when their motives make complete sense. Like, you brought up Shere Khan. He's the villain because humans are hunters and therefore are dangerous in the forest.
Totally, 100%.
And that's his complete understanding.
Yep.
So he sees a human, and that's threatening their entire way of life.
Absolutely.
You know, the chef Skinner, I think, from Ratatouille, you know, God forbid in this Michelin star restaurant, we don't want the rats cooking the meals.
I mean, duh. I think that kind of makes a little bit of sense.
So they're the ones that I find funniest.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, because they're relatable, right? Like, I don't know what it's like to be a scarred lion living on, you know, living out where lions live. Oh my God. But also being terribly jealous of my chief brother and wanting all the power of the pride to myself. I don't know what that feels like. I just don't.
But you know what it's like.
I know what it's like to be jealous. No, I don't. Not really. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's an interesting factor there. Yeah. Definitely. The best villain song. Now I know that you guys are going to have a bunch to say. I have to listen to this song. I literally have no idea what it is.
Oh, it's so dark. It's so dark. My favorite villain song is and will always be "Be Prepared."
Okay. Yeah.
That's a good one. And I think that one is similar vibes to Hellfire. Like, not musically, but conceptually similar vibes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Oogie Boogie song. I think that the style, the way that it's done, the way that the visuals are with the song, like, it's just lovely, very fun. And I think that the performer is amazing. But also Poor Unfortunate Souls. I mean, that's like something you belt in your car if you have children. Or maybe if you don't have children. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I have to do that sometimes.
My deeper cut villain song is Zira's My Lullaby from Lion King 2.
Oh, boy.
It is an extension of Be Prepared to an extent.
Okay.
But the crazy side of it.
Ooh.
So Be Prepared is this like anthemic, I'm ready to seize my power. The world needs to watch out for me. And Zira takes it to the crazy, I want you to suffer. Your pain is my lullaby.
Oh, okay.
Is the song.
Nice.
And it is dark and it's so interesting. And she's singing it while putting her son to bed.
Oh.
As a lullaby to who she hopes to raise her children to be. To be the people that go back to the Pride Lands and overthrow in the name of Scar.
Okay.
But the crazy aspect of it is so fascinating to me.
Cool. Good stuff. Which one is the scariest villain? What do you guys think?
I'm not going to say Frollo again. But
I think
you did already say that, though.
I think Mother Gothel is the scariest.
Okay.
Just because she's so twisted. You know, it's all about like, you know, why would you want to do that to me? And I love you so much. And it's so manipulative and just evil as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I guess as a mom, it's pretty screwed up. Don't be Mother Gothel. This is what I tell myself every day. Don't be Mother Gothel.
My big one is Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Okay.
Because this person takes a conversation that he, with a mindset of a teenager with clear rejection sensitivity disorder, and turns that into his lifelong mission to murder everyone with superpowers. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's been such a long mission for him, and that every time he improves upon his machine whenever someone defeats it, and keeps this like running tally of bodies he's buried, just waiting for his one like moment of redemption to right the wrongs of the past because he wasn't allowed to be a sidekick to one specific hero who just didn't want it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, an entire race of people essentially were like in the process of being eradicated. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the scariest to me, but it is one that I want to talk about because I think is the reason it is a big part of the reason I actually don't particularly love Toy Story. And that is Sid. The whole, like, taking apart the toys and putting them back together in weird ways. Like, is he a full-on the whole villain of the movie? But, like, that kid. And I don't know if it was the timing of when Toy Story came out, but I hated everything about all of the scenes in his house and all of, like, because I felt bad for the toys. Mm-hmm. And I think that whole thing scarred me so much from watching that, and it's part of the reason I don't love Toy Story the way everyone else does.
So what's really funny is that Sid is also on a lot of the lists of most misunderstood villain. Mm-hmm. Because Sid has no idea the toys are alive.
No, and I'm aware of that.
Yeah. Sid is just...
I mean, there was always that kid.
Oh, yeah.
That took the scissors to their Barbie, that started pulling bits and pieces off and this, that, and wrote marker on things. I remember that very distinctly. I was not that kid, and I remember being kind of offended when people would do that. I'm like, why would you do that to your Barbie? Like, it was just so upsetting to me.
But isn't the villain who doesn't know they're a villain and still causes that amount of chaos truly terrifying?
That's pretty creepy. Yeah.
Yeah,
like the ignorance of knowing.
Yeah. Because within Sid's understanding of the world, his greatest crime is borrowing his sister's toys and not returning them in the same fashion they were borrowed.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty messed up. But does not know that he's completely, maiming sentient creatures.
Oh my gosh. So, eras. Mm-hmm. You talked a little bit about the different eras of the Disney villains.
The classic, the weird, the Renaissance, the
weird.
The modern.
Is the classic the weird, or is there a separate?
I think of the weird as like the 70s ones. The Sword and the Stone.
Okay. And the classic would be like the 50s
mm-hmm.
and with like Dumbo and Pinocchio and that kind of stuff, right?
The Evil Queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snow White.
So do you guys have a favorite era? And we should talk about what the eras are. All right. So you said classic, weird, Renaissance. These are technical terms.
Oh, yeah. There are all kinds of distinctions.
We're creating our own system here.
And then we have the modern era. So, like,
There's also the Dark Ages.
What's the Dark Ages?
The 2000s, where none of them were, like, successes.
Oh.
The, like, Treasure Planet era.
Okay. So that's between Renaissance and our modern, which, like, Disney has kind of pulled themselves out of the grave that they dug themselves. I think,
like, Princess and the Frog 2009-ish is when
things started getting better.
Me. Yeah.
Okay. And the princesses started looking a little different.
Yeah, I think Tangled was... Because that's where... It's between Tangled and Princess and the Frog. Princess and the Frog looks like some of the older animation. Mm-hmm. Tangled does not.
Correct,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think, it's a point somewhere in the modern era where you start seeing Disney start looking very Pixar-y, and mm-hmm. the line between the two starts to really blur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's also when villains stopped being villains in the sense of Disney's history.
Yeah.
And started becoming... Moana's main villain is climate change.
Right. It becomes more of like a concept instead of it being like a physical person or character. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there are tons of movies where there is no villain character. We talked Inside Out as a lead up to it because there is no villain in mm-hmm. Inside Out. There is the limited capabilities of each of the characters and the pain of the gaps that are created within them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think they started shifting to that with movies like Frozen. Mm-hmm. And I think a little bit with Brave.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
I love Brave.
Yeah.
I love that movie so
too.
much. But you started seeing, there's a person who's the problem, but there's also, I'm going to use Frozen as the example because most people know Frozen.
Yes.
Yes, Hans is the problem. But also, the problem is the way that Elsa was encouraged to hide away her powers and not ever gain that understanding. And then that put a wedge between her and Elsa, or her and Anna, rather. And so it's like the things, yes, you've got a villain, but the things that let that villain have the power were a societal thing.
Yeah, well, it's the same with Brave. You know, yes, there's Mor'du, the black bear that's like trying to eat them or whatever, but the real problem is the relationship she has with her mother. That's the big issue. Mor'du is just like he's kind of there to facilitate the healing process in a way.
Yeah.
So is he really the bad guy? Because he's just helping out.
He is still trying to eat.
This is how much I want to be the villain, because I'm like, oh, you got to look at it from a positive perspective. Oh my goodness.
I watched Inside Out last night because we'd been talking about it, and because a lot of people would be like, oh, you know, the problem here is you know, this is a whole thing for depression, and I'm like, yes, but the issue isn't that she's sad and that sadness is there. The issue is that there's no support for dealing with that, and there is an insistence that she be okay. Joy is insisting that sadness has no purpose and sadness can't do anything and sadness can't touch anything. And Riley feels like her parents need her to be happy, so she can't show her sadness. And it's when they all start working together and she can have that sadness having a purpose. And that is where things start coming back together. And you really see it with Joy being like, no, you don't know what you're doing. You can't do anything. You can't do anything. But sadness has the solution. But I think we all know the real villain of Inside Out is, in fact, the Triple Dent gum jingle. Because, my God, I watched that movie and then I couldn't get that out of my head for like an hour.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
So I think that's the real villain.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we have to like write that down as being the scariest villain. Oh my gosh. All right, well, some villains have gotten an origin story, and we have seen that with Maleficent and Cruella. I haven't seen Cruella, but I heard good things about it.
It's fun.
Okay. I did see Maleficent. I stupidly watched the second Maleficent before I watched the first Maleficent, because why would I watch them in order? I mean, what the heck? I had no idea. And it was one of those situational things where Maleficent 2 was streaming. Maleficent 1 was not. I did not do any sort of research to verify which was which. And I could not. I mean, like, I wouldn't have found the first one even if I tried. So I just showed it to my family, willy-nilly. And then we realized that there was a whole thing beforehand. And then I was like, hey, kids, we're actually going to watch the first one. This is going to be great. They could not care anymore because I already screwed it up. I already ruined it. It was done. I liked it.
I haven't seen Cruella, but I did see Maleficent. I saw that one in theaters when it came out, the first one. I've never seen the second one.
Okay.
And it has been a long time. I think that's the only time I've watched it. I do remember really enjoying that movie. I do have a history of liking stories retold from the villain side.
Yes.
See also the Wicked episode. But so I like knowing motives, and I like seeing the other side. I also like when sometimes the villain isn't as villainous as we think they were.
Yeah, because like when you actually get the whole picture and then you realize, like, oh, yeah, there's a reason.
It's that whole whoever wins tells the story, and when the winner is the hero of the original version, then sure, the villain is the villain, but...
Definitely.
Well, that's why I would love to see a sort of origin story movie of Hook.
Okay.
Because he... labeled a pirate. Sure, he's probably stealing some things.
Yeah.
But his main villainy comes from the fact that one day this flying kid decided as a prank to cut off his hand and feed it to a crocodile.
I think I'd be mad.
I've seen plenty of arguments that Peter Pan is the villain of Peter Pan.
Oh, yeah.
So, I can buy it.
Easily. And I think that'd be so interesting to see. I know Once Upon a Time did it to an extent. Once Upon a Time has done a lot of things to an extent. But I would love to see a Hook-focused movie of his childhood. He's supposed to have a very, sheltered, hard childhood. And, falling in love with the sea and... what drove him towards piracy in the first place, and then what happens from his perspective when Peter shows up. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be fascinating. I think ending a movie with him putting on the hook for the first time would be so cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I want to see an Ursula origin story. Mm-hmm. I want to dig into that. And I know there's a tiny bit that's probably not even canon in, the Descendants movies mm-hmm. where you find out about her sister and this and that. But that's not good enough. I want more. I want to know what happened to her.
Yeah.
Why she's like that. Why does she hate Triton so much? Where does she get her power from?
What did she do to get kicked out of his court?
Yeah. All that good stuff. It seems like it would be really juicy.
Yeah.
I think I would have to go Ursula too, although you bring up very good points with Hook. So I don't have a unique answer here. I think you guys took the good answers.
To be fair, Ursula was the other one I wrote down.
Oh, well, okay. So Ursula needs to happen. Powers that be, get it done. All right. Well, I would love to hear from our audience if anybody wants to chime in on our conversation or add to our list of villains.
There are several we haven't shouted out. Please do so.
Holler at us. Let us know what you think. And that's all for now. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Distracted Librarians.
Many thanks to BCTV for their support in recording, editing, and releasing this podcast, and to the Friends of the Library for sponsoring closed captioning on every episode.
If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out to us at distracted@btpl.org.
Until then, keep those pages turning and those screens lighting up. We'll catch you in the next episode.
The views and opinions expressed in the Distracted Librarians podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Bloomfield Township Public Library, Bloomfield Community Television, the Birmingham Area Cable Board, or its producers or production staff.